Hey Counter Slammers, coming at you again with another model review. Another one this week. I know, right? It's like 3 so far. But I want to actually talk to you again about, not about a new model that's coming out or anything, but a model that I've started to see people start to play more. And in Legion of Everblight, it happens to be my favorite caster, which is Rhyas, the Sigil of Everblight. And Rhyas, I know a lot of people tend to kind of poo-poo her because they don't really think she's that competitive. But I want to show you guys a little bit what she can do, as well as kind of go over some key models that are really good to take with her, and then share with you guys a list that I play that actually does really well. I've even some against some of our better players in our meta, and it's one that I rarely honestly lose with, and it's a fantastic list, and I'll share that with you guys so you can, if you guys want to, you can try it out for yourselves and let me know what you think. But Rhyas is, let's look at her stats and we'll get into what she can do, and then we'll get into that list. Rhyas is, to me, is just a melee monster. She gets in there, she can assassinate things, she can really assassinate things. If she does it right, she can take out beasts by herself. She has a lot of, just a lot of synergies with her. And one reason why people don't tend to like her very much is because she's a 5 Fury caster, and that is a tough pill to swallow. I'll give you that. With a 10-inch control area, you know, even with her feet, sometimes it can be a little difficult. But she has 16 hit boxes and 6 War Beast points. She is a speed 7, so she's really fast, and she can get faster. She's strength 5, mat 8, which is great because she hits almost everything. Rat 6, which doesn't really, kind of comes into play a little bit. Yeah, you know, we'll get into that in her spell list. And she's defense 16, which is really great because she's fairly hard to hit, and that also plays into her. She has armor 14, which is not uncommon for a warlock. And she has a command of 8. Her sword, Antiphon, looks like Typhon, but it's not. Antiphon. She has a magic weapon, and it's a weapon master, and it has reach. So one of the things they just added recently to her abilities, so which makes her even more of a threat. And I think they did that for one of her abilities we'll get into. So first thing, she's got acrobatics, so she can move through other models if she has enough movement to move completely past their bases. And this model cannot be targeted by free strikes, and the model ignores intervening models when declaring line of sight, or declaring a charge target. I'm sorry. So she can move through her own stuff, she can move through other people's stuff, and get to wherever she's going. So with a 7-inch movement, 3 inches for the charge, 2 inches for reach, it's 12-inch threat range anywhere on the table, and that's pretty good. She has perfect balance, so she cannot be targeted by combined melee attacks, combined ranged attacks, or free strikes, again. Models do not gain backstrike bonuses against her, and when she's knocked down, she can stand up during her activation without forfeiting her movement or action, so she doesn't have to spend a fury to stand up, which is great. If she's able to forfeit her movement or action to stand up. So she also, her twin sister Saren, it says while this model is not engaged and is in Saren's control area, Saren can channel spells through her, so she acts as kind of an arc node for Saren, and I believe Saren does the same thing for Rhyas, which is kind of interesting. She has riposte, which is, it says when this model is missed by an enemy melee attack, immediately after the attacker is resolved, they can make one normal melee attack against the attacking model. So if somebody goes to swing on her and they miss, she gets to swing on them. And with a defense 16, which can go higher, with some of the things we're going to talk about here in a minute. Sorry, cars driving by, right? So you know, she can get a chance to hit you with a POW 12 Weapon Master attack, and if she crits on that, she can kill you on your own turn, which is pretty stupid, which has happened before, believe it or not. She has sprint, so at the end of her activation, if she destroyed one or more enemy models, not hard for her. With melee attacks, this activation, she can make a full advance. Then she has critical decapitation, so with her weapon, it says on a critical hit, double the damage that exceeds the model hit. A model disabled by this attack cannot make a tough roll, so she's great against trolls. Honestly, she can kill it, or any caster with tough, she can take them out in one hit a lot of times. Critical decapitation with riposte combination can be devastating to an opponent. And she has Spirit Eater, which is really cool, which says this model can reave Fury points from enemy War Beast destroyed by this weapon. Other models cannot reave Fury points from enemy War Beast destroyed by this weapon. So a lot of times when she runs in, she kills a beast, takes the Fury, and then she can start buying more attacks. Or even on her feat turn, this can be pretty ridiculous too. And we'll get into that here in a second. So those are her abilities, and she's basically a ninja. She's fantastic. She's got, if you can play her, the only thing a lot of people gripe about, she doesn't have built-in stealth, and she doesn't have Pathfinder. If she had both of those things, she would be the perfect caster, assassination caster. I think she would honestly be everybody's favorite caster at that point. But she does have a sort of a way to get stealth, and not having stealth or Pathfinder can really hinder Rhyas, and I think that's one reason why people don't tend to like her very much. But there are ways around it, and we'll get into that here in a minute. So her spells, she has 3 spells. One's called Dash. It costs 2. It's a range of self, and it's in your control area. It's not an upkeep, not offensive. It says while in this model's control area, friendly faction warrior models cannot be targeted by free strikes, so that's pretty nice. Rhyas and friendly legion warrior models activating in her control area gain +1 speed. Dash lasts for 1 turn. So again, something great with the sprint, because it's speed, not movement, is that when she kills something, she cannot just move 7 inches away; she can move her 8 inches away. And that also works for infantry models starting in her control area, which is really cool. So your infantry, if you're playing hex hunters, swordsmen, war spears, whatever you're going to do, they can really benefit from that. She does have the spell Occultation, which costs 2. She can target something within 6 inches of herself, and it's upkeep, and target friendly model/unit gains stealth. So depending on what you're playing, if you need to give her stealth, you can, and it only costs 1 upkeep. And then she has a spell called Rapport, which I don't think any of the other casters have. It costs 2, range is 6. It's an upkeep spell. It says target war beast in this model's battle group can use this model's current mat and rat in place of its own. This model can transfer damage to the war beast even if it's not in this model's control area. This model can transfer damage to the war beast once per turn without spending Fury. So this really helps Rhyas a lot, especially to hang on to her Fury. So she can, if she casts this on a large beast, even if you're playing an Archangel, you can cast it and it'll raise their mat and the rat to 8/6, which is what hers is. So that, it's not a huge boost for range for most Legion beasts, because most Legion beasts have 5 rats. But so going from 5 to 6, but it can be a little bit better. But going, most of the beasts having 6 mat going up to 8 like her, that's pretty good. So a lot of times you don't have to boost for things, or you can feel confident you don't have to boost for certain things. So like with a Carnivian or a Scythian, or even again the Archangel can have a mat 8, and then you can just spend the Fury for buying attacks and boosting damage rolls instead of boosting to hit, which is awesome. And then when she gets hit, she can transfer damage to that one beast once without spending a Fury, and she can even transfer to it if it's not even in her control range. So it's a great spell. A lot of times you can hop that spell around from between 2 Scythians or between 2 other beasts to raise their mat and do some real serious damage. So those are her 3 spells. Again, she's not complex. She's got more complex in her abilities than she does her spells. Her spells are very simple. And then you've got her feat, which is called Tide of Blood, and it says Rhyas and friendly Legion models activating in her control area gain 1 additional melee attack during their activations. The first time a friendly Legion model damages an enemy model with a melee attack during its activation while in Rhyas' control area, immediately place the attacking model anywhere base to base with the damaged model. Tide of Blood lasts for 1 turn. And what's great about that is that with this feat, it turns everything you have into ninjas, basically. They run in, they hit something, they damage it, they jump to the other side of it, and if they kill that thing, they jump first, then the model is removed. So sometimes you have to remind your opponent, it's like when you roll your damage rolls, a lot of times they tend to grab their model real quick. You gotta be like, no, leave it there, let me jump base to base, okay, now you can take it. And there are other combinations where this becomes disgusting. So everything you have gets 1 more additional melee attack, and that's pretty awesome, especially for things like Carnivians or Scythians or the Throne of Everblight or Rhyas herself. I mean, this is ridiculously good. I've wiped out people's, like, almost half, if not 3/4 of someone's army before on a feat turn, just getting awesome damage rolls, and you know, with everything I have. And we'll get into, like I said, my list here in a second. Sorry, excuse me. So let's take a look at this list, and I'm going to talk to you about the models, and I'll throw them up here, the model pictures, so you can see what I got. But the list I run, I call it the reach out and touch someone list. And this list is designed to make up for any flaw that Rhyas has, and the whole list is designed to get Rhyas to the other person's caster and let her do her thing, which is take out the other person's warcaster. And again, this list is designed to not just compensate for her, I guess, disabilities, other people would say, or what she lacks, but it also, everything is expendable, and everything is meant to get in the way, so you can get Rhyas farther and farther up the field and make it really hard for the other person to either shoot or come in and attack her. Because one thing I noticed when I was playing Rhyas a lot when I first got her, I really liked her, but she kept dying because people kept knocking her down. They would, especially playing as Jason and his trolls, he would always, you know, slam his Tuffalos or slam something else, you know, his Creole warriors into her and knock her down, and then they just run something up and just kill her in 2 hits, because with armor 14 there's not much she can do, and she doesn't usually tend to have a lot of fury left on her at the end of her turns. So the things I bring to this list that will and I have this list up on our website under the theme lists. If you go to Legion Everblight, it's the one at the very bottom. So this list basically looks like this. It's got Rhyas, and then you have the Succubus. And the Succubus is there to help cast the Animus of either the, you know, tenacity or whatever she needs. But it's also meant to help upkeep a spell, because it can upkeep one spell for free every round. So a lot of times, most times, occultation or rapport. If she only has to spend 1, you know, to upkeep rapport, for example, or just occultation, that can mean life or death for Rhyas. So Succubus is almost an auto include with her, as with probably any 5 Fury caster in Legion. I'm sure most people would say the same thing. Next thing you take are 2 Scythians, and Scythians, of course, with their reach and their speed, and again, having rapport can be fantastic with them, because they get their 2 hits and then their combos, you know, hit everything, is Thresher attack. They have the Animus that stops tough rolls, which is awesome, because it also helps Rhyas to take things out that, because I've been playing a lot of lists where I end up taking on a lot of tough, whether it be boom howlers or trolls or cephalics or something, or they, like, tough can be can totally lock down a melee centric army. Well, with this list, you take the 2 Scythians and you're able to, with or without crit decapitation, this way you're able to actually take things out without them making any tough rolls. You go against a troll army, you're like, nope, no tough roll, nope, no tough roll, you know, get a Thresher attack, no tough rolls on any of them, they're just dead. That is amazing. So this list tends to work fairly well against trolls, but I think I've like I said, I've played against several different armies and it does really well. But the next thing you want to take a look at, again, I mentioned about her getting knocked down all the time. Well, what you take to stop that from happening is the Nephilim Protector. So that's you know, the next 5 points you spend. And the Protector, of course, the Animus says you can't be knocked down. And really, this is once you really start getting in the thick of things, and there's that opportunity for someone to throw something or slam something or find a way to knock her down, especially if you know something that has that ability. Because she can stand up for free during her activation, but she can't. It doesn't stop her from getting knocked down. And, you know, people know that with Riposte and her being able to attack you back, one key way to get past her defense 16 armor is to somehow manage to knock her down. So so the Protector keeps that from happening, and also he has the Shield Guard, which means he can take a shot for her within 2 inches. And we'll get into the placement here in a second too. But next she wants to bring a Shredder, and the Shredder is there to help give her the +1 defense and armor. Defense 17 is way better than defense 16. Defense 17 is very difficult to hit on a melee attack, especially when most things in the game are mat 5s and 6s, even 7s. You need, with 17s, you still need 10s to hit. That's pretty ridiculous. So, again, the Protector is almost an auto include with me, and Shredder being able to give her that at +1 defense. Again, those two are almost auto includes. The next one is kind of a fun model to take, and that's the Throne of Everblight. And the reason why you take the Throne, one, because it's really fun to do the feat where it gets to jump base to base, get a bunch of extra attacks, and do a spell and all the jazz. It's amazing. But it's also, the Throne is your distraction piece. It acts as two things. One, it can either be a distraction piece, or it is your wall that as it moves up, Rhyas stays behind it to prevent her from being targeted by things. And there are other ways to get around that too in this list, but that's one option you have. The Throne is scary looking. People pay attention to the Throne. You guys got to remember that. When you see it on the table, if you move it towards their infantry, they are going to freak out. Because it's a great model. It does fantastic work. But that's something that people that you may want to consider taking. If you don't take a Throne, you could always take another Scythian, or you can take an Angelius. And Angelius can be fantastic too for opening up charge lanes and things like that. So, and getting armor piercing, armor piercing something, jumping base to base, and pushing everything else out of the way is an awesome move too. So there are those. Then you have 2 Blighted Shepherds, which, you need 2 for Fury management. You have the Nephilim Bolt Thrower, and what I take this guy for is to give her flight with its animus, because sometimes the Pathfinder becomes an issue because she can charge other models, but she can't charge through rough terrain. So if you give her flight, then that can help her on the turn when she needs to do her assassination / pop her feet, whatever. So again, the Bolt Thrower, it's interesting too, because I'm talking about the Nephilim here, and I'm not going to get into I don't have the Soldier in this list, but the Soldier can work really well too, because it can give her an extra attack. So if she does get to charge something, kill something, jump base to base, move an inch, kill something attack something else with the animus, and then she gets her extra attack with her feet, then you start buying attacks. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, that's the whole thing with Fianna the Lash when she comes out. You can do the same thing with Rhyas. So while the Soldier is not in this list, I think Rhyas takes the Nephilim better than Saren does, which is funny because Saren has the Nephilim in her tier list. So really odd kind of in that sense. But I'm glad that Rhyas is getting the character Nephilim, because for some reason she just really seems to run Nephilim really well. They work to her advantage a lot. The next thing you can do, and these are interchangeable, if you are going up against an army that doesn't handle stealth well, you can take the Hex Hunters. And the Hex Hunters are great for a couple extra reasons. They have an extra speed, the extra 1 speed, and then they also have, because they move 7 where the Swordsmen are 6, they also have Bale, which gives them advanced deploy and grants them Hunter, so they can see through forest, things like that, which is fantastic too. And a lot of times that can help a lot as well, especially if there's a lot of terrain, like I said. So the Hex Hunters are a good choice, but in my particular list, I usually choose the Swordsman, mainly because their Weapon Master and their UA is really the key for that. Now, they don't have Pathfinder, they don't have, stealth naturally. That's what Occultation is for. So you really have to kind of weigh it out. If the person's going to have a really hard time with stealth, you might take, and they don't have very high armor, I'd say take the Hex Hunters. If they have infantry that has high armor, or if you notice you're going against like Menoth and things like that, you got to take the Swordsman. You just have to, because you need the be able to get through the tough armor, and the Swordsmen are great for that. Now with their UA, what's cool about their UA? A lot of people, if you don't play the Swordsman, the UA grant cleave. So when they kill something, they get to immediately after the attack is made, they get to attack one more time. But they also provide the tactics of overtake. So when they attack and kill something, then they can move an inch and attack something else. And what's cool about that is even with the feats, with Rhyas' feat, they get to charge something, attack, jump base to base with it, move an inch, make their second attack, and then they get the feat attack. So they actually get 3 Weapon Master attacks at mat 7. That's pretty good. And the UA are actually mat 8. So both of the guys. That's just the abbot. That's the guy, their little flag bearer guy, even though he doesn't have a flag. But then you have the champion, who's got the 2 swords, and he has 2 abilities. One's a defensive strike, so if you end your in melee with him, he gets to make an attack on you first before you get to attack. And then he also has combo strike, so he can attack Weapon Master, essentially Weapon Master 15, if he wants to do a combo strike in his turn. Pretty cool with that too. So again, and the Swordsmen are fearless too, which really can help a lot. And they're, like I said again, they're Weapon Master. They're designed to take down armor, and if people have played against them before, they know how scary they can be. and I only take 1 unit of the swordsman. If you notice, my list tends to be a little more beast heavy than it does. But you have to understand the way the list is designed as everything in the list is a distraction, because the whole goal is to get Rhyas to the other person, to the other caster, and assassinate it. Because that's what she does best. And honestly, once you do it, that's all you want to do again when you keep playing. You're like, oh, I totally crit decap that caster. I want to do it again. Now, there's one other model that I want to take. So you can choose between which unit you want to take. But the other semi-unit she wants to take is the Swamp Gobber's Bellows crew. And the Swamp Gobbers, I mean, come on. Provide a really huge cloud. They're hard to shoot. She becomes almost impossible to shoot if she's standing in the cloud. And if she's standing in the cloud with tenacity, she's defense 19. She's not going to get shot. At least not with not without some huge rat. I don't know who's got a big rat like that. So, but you use the Gobber's Bellows crew, and you can move them in front of Rhyas to create a cloud that she can stand behind. Again, it prevents her from being seen. Or she can stand in the cloud and, just makes her really, really hard to hit. You don't have to keep her. You want to try and move over the field as far as you can. So a lot of times trying to run the Bellows crew in front, it can be a little difficult. As far as, like, it can be a little stifling as, like, if you're trying to move over the field as fast as you can, then having them kind of waddle behind her isn't necessarily a great idea. But her being in the cloud is great. Like I said, she's got plenty of other models to hide behind, whether it be the Scythians or the Throne or the clouds or whatever you're going up. So, but all these things are designed, because you've got the Protector taking a shot, or at least one shot for her if she does get shot. Yeah, you also have the ability to stop her from getting knocked down. You have tenacity to give her defense 17 if she needs it at that particular time. And you really have to kind of decide on during your turn what's going to be most effective against your opponent. Like I said, you have the Throne for the distraction piece. You have the 2 Scythians, which are those are wreck heavies. They're fantastic, so they're great to have. You have the Bolt Thrower, one that can push things back and knock things down, but also for flight, to get her over things. Excuse me. So there's a lot of, like I said, these are kind of the synergies I'm talking about, and that's a 50-point list, and that's really what I tend to take. So against Rhyas, Succubus, 2 Scythians, Protector, Shredder, Throne, 2 Shepherds, Bolt Thrower, this Swordsman full with their UA, and the Swamp Gobber's Bellows crew. And these guys, I'm telling you, this list for some reason is like magic. And my opponents have learned to fear Rhyas a lot with this list. And again, this is what I call the reach out and touch someone list. So those of you who remember those old commercials. But so again, I like I said, I rarely ever lose with this list, and it does fantastic against trolls. But so a lot of times when I see people post their list they're playing with Rhyas, I'm not sure if it's going to work or not. A lot of times when I see the gaps and it's like they don't take a Protector, so she's vulnerable to knockdown. A lot of times that's how, if people are familiar with Rhyas, that's how they're probably going to try and take her down. If they don't take a Bolt Thrower, for example, they can hide behind rough terrain, and it makes it difficult for her to get the assassination. So there's other things too, but it's like, if they're relying on mostly a shooting army, if you don't have the Swamp Gobbers or something to really hide her or make her really, 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 really difficult to hit, then she can get assassinated off the table. So there's a lot, like I said, or if she has to cast stealth on herself and she's using the swordsmen are vulnerable because they're kind of hard to kill, but they're not impossible to kill. They don't have super high armor, so if they get hit, they're pretty much gone, which is like most Legion infantry. So again, this is my list, and when I run it, by the way, too, I have Rhyas, the Succubus, the Shredder, the Bolt Thrower, and the Protector, all, and the Gobber's Bellows crew. Like, those are all kind of in the back, and they kind of move up together. It's usually when, and you have your Throne, your units, and your big beasts up in front. And so like I said, those things kind of screen and distract, especially like your infantry. They distract everything, and you just keep moving Rhyas up the field until, they basically realize that they're within 12 inches of your caster, or even less, because with her feet, if she goes up and damages something, she can hop to the other side and, of something larger and get at the person's caster, which can work out too. again, this is my list. You can feel free to leave comments below on what you think. If you have any comments on other models you think would work in this list. Models coming up in the future. Fiona the Lash is going to be probably going to be an auto include in this list. I'm going to figure out ways to move stuff around there. We don't even know if we're getting our lesser warlock, how that's going to pull out. Then we have the character Nephilim. So there's going to be a lot that's coming out that could work well in this list. You could drop a Scythian and pick up some things. So I don't know, or drop the Throne. You could directly drop the Throne. That's an extra 9 points that you can use for other things too. So I don't know. I mean, it's up to you guys. But so we'll see what it looks like when those things come out. How I might tweak this list. But right now, I'm telling you, I think this list is really competitive, and I would like to see other people try it maybe in a competition or in tournaments. I don't get a chance to make it out to a ton of tournaments, but at least nothing that aren't local anyway. But I hope this helps kind of give you a little more insight into the list that I run with Rhyas and why she's my favorite caster and what synergies work well with her. And you can see why this list tends to make up for anything that people tend to poo-poo about her. They think that she's not competitive because she doesn't have Pathfinder. Well, she's got Flight now, or she gets shot off the table. Well, you have the Protector, or she gets knocked down. You have the Protector. You have the Swamp Gobbler's Protector. So I mean, there's a lot in there, but it's all. Remember, the whole list is designed to protect her and move her up as fast up the field as you can, so you can get the assassination off. Everything else in the front is completely expendable. Even the Throne, it's all expendable. So when you start losing those pieces, don't get mad. That's going to happen. You have to get Rhyas to the other person's caster. That's where do you move her next. That's your first thought, is where are you moving her next. So if you can keep that in mind, I think you're going to find that she is an amazing caster. So anyway, good luck with that. I hope you guys get a chance to play her. Hope you get a chance to see what she can do, and I look forward to hearing your tales. Like I said, comment below if you want to, if you have other strategies or synergies in mind you're thinking of that work well with her. I know people are going to probably mention Wraithbane with the Naga Night Lurker, that type of stuff. But anyway, so I look forward to see what you guys have to say, and again, we'll see you guys in the next episode of Counterslam.